Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's 5 o'clock Eastern Time on this Monday, September 10th, 2018, and there she is in all of her glory. That's Hurricane Florence. Just an impressive Category 4 hurricane right now. Very good structure to the eye wall. The recon is finding pressure down to 939 millibars, or 27 and some odd change inches of millibar of mercury. But the just an incredibly concentric storm now. Very good outflow on the northern and north central and northeastern flank of the storm. Again, these are dynamic engines, so engines need exhaust, and we have exhaust in that upper level pattern here with no shear and just tremendous SSTs of 29C or 85, 86 degree water it's heading over. So this tells me if we're at a 4 now and we're going into favorable conditions, I would think the risk of going to a 5 is there. And doesn't mean a 5 at landfall, but a 5 during the next, I would say, 24 to 36 hours seems to be a fair. Oops, I lost my imagery. You know why? Because I'm trying to go to the IR loop. Let me load the IR loop. And this site's been having problems all day because a lot of geeks are on there, like myself. Trying to get all the latest information, and it clogs the server. Let's look at the long wave IR showing you the thunderstorm central, and there they are. Look at that nice banding of very strong upward draft thunderstorms. It almost looks has a 3D appearance to it. Well, this is 1 minute satellite data from GOES 16. Very impressive satellite imagery here this morning, actually this evening. Again, sorry, I'm tired. But overall, the trend here is definitely a intensifying system. Again, 12 hours ago, we were looking at a Category 1 hurricane at 5 o'clock this morning. At 5 o'clock this evening, we're now Category 4, 939 millibars. Just an impressive setup here. Let's look at the recon data, if we will. And this is what I call the recon aircraft from about 20 minutes ago. 4:30 Eastern Time. The red bar is the mean levels pressure wind. So this is when they're outside the hurricane, and then you can see it dropping down here. Let me put that on the sketch for you. This is the pressure dropping, and then as they fly out of the hurricane, it's rising and then dropping again as they go through the eye wall, and then rising again. And then the blue here is the wind fields. Notice we have wind fields of 110, 125, 125 recorded near in the outer parts of the eye wall. So this tells me the wind fields are expanding out from the center, and that's a sign of an intensifying hurricane at this point. But again, just an impressive setup here with this, pressures down to 939 millibars, and right down here at 1923Z or 330. And then again here. So these are each time they pass through the hurricane. So this is getting excellent data into the model here as well, that we're seeing a very strong Cat 4 storm. Let's take that off and put that back on. And next up, we have the forecast paths right here. Okay, thank you. This is the European model here, and I'll just loop through this, and you can see the one problem with the European model. Notice here it says in the lower right-hand corner, actually you can't see it, it's chopped off the screen. It says it's 950 millibars. That looks too high to me. So it's actually a weaker system on the Euro model, and it takes it and plows it right north of Wilmington, North Carolina. This is Thursday afternoon, which is the window I'm looking for. So we are 72 hours away, basically 3 days away from a landfalling major hurricane along the U.S. East Coast. This is no, hype storm. This is the real deal, and we are looking for a major hurricane at landfall, probably somewhere between Wilmington, North Carolina, and I would say Hatteras is my northernmost point I would go. But either way, I don't think you need to care about where it lands. It's just, when it comes in, it's going to come in at such an angle and accelerate their speed. I do believe it'll be again a 5 probably tomorrow into Wednesday, and then probably weaken to a 4 as it approaches the coast, as it starts accelerating towards the land, and then the wind fields collapse, and look at this, it just sits and dies. And that's our heavy rainfall scenario. Again, I don't want to cause panic and fear, but this is a flooding situation for inland North Carolina and southern Virginia. If you know people who have flooded in the past in central and northern North Carolina, southern Virginia, Richmond, Charlottesville, if you've had flooding before in the past, you're going to have it again. I would be looking for plans to evacuate those areas. Again, inland evacuations are scary because, flooding, you can get stuck for days. If you leave now, my suggestion is you head south towards Columbia or Charlotte, or go north towards Pennsylvania and West Virginia. The areas that are going to see the most heavy rain here, Friday and Saturday and the weekend, are in the Central Carolinas. We're looking at a historic system set up here. Cat 4 at landfall, and then a flood inland after that. That's going to bring up memories of Floyd and other historic landfalling hurricanes that have caused tremendous flooding. So let's see here. What do we want to show next? Okay, the forecast sprays. This is starting to show. I'm kind of disappointed on the European model here. This is the day. Here we are in 24 hours at this marker right here. And at day 2, it's right here. And at day 3, I mean, that's a fairly healthy spread for the European model. I would like to see it tightly clustered. And the reason why it's not as clustered is because it's got a weaker system. It's got a, like I said, 950 millibar low, so it just takes it and goes into South Carolina or whatever. And that's why South Carolina has done some early evacuations, which I think is a little bit premature. I'm okay with voluntary evacuations, but I still think the risk zone here is going to be farther north. And the GFS model and its and some other models are starting to show that in the cyclone guidance. More of a path right here. This is the ensemble spread from the European, showing that north of Wilmington, south of Hatteras landfall, and anywhere in this area right in here, you'll see severe storm surge as the wind fields are expanding. A wind field expanding hurricane means more power. Power equals m mass times velocity squared. Times radius squared. And the radius of the wind field, the more that gets out there, the more powerful this system will be. So this is looking like a historic storm for impact in the Carolinas and moving on into Virginia. No question here. Here's some of the rainfall totals from the European high-res, again showing that landfall. Again, don't pay attention to the exact numbers. I would still think this is a 20 to 30 inch rain in here somewhere for these folks. Just an incredible amount of rain for North Carolina and Virginia. Again, this is the high-end scenario, or a middle-ground scenario. I think the high-end scenario is 20 to 30 inches, which causes flooding in Charlottesville, Lynchburg, Richmond, Raleigh, low-lying areas. This area, you don't want to be anywhere near here come Friday. I strongly suggest inland evacuations, which is very unusual for me to say that. Most of these people evacuating here along the coast, you need to go southward into South Carolina. Do not go north. No. Do not go west. You need to go south. South, south, south. You need to go south. I tell everyone you know that if you're going to be along the coast, you need to be going south towards Charleston, Columbia, Greenville, anywhere, or even Atlanta. Charlotte may be okay, but going into here, not a good idea. Now, the folks that live in this area, if you have flooded in the past 50 years, if you've had a historical flood, I would strongly suggest you're probably going to see another historical flood. Only because of the forward speed slowing down and coming to a grinding halt. A lot of the model data I showed doesn't show much movement after day 5. It's pretty ominous. Going to the NHC forecast, I really don't have much beef with it. They should start. In my opinion, actually the only beef I should have, they should start putting watches up right now. There should be a hurricane watch in effect from Hatteras all the way through Myrtle, and those will probably be changed to warnings by Tuesday night as the storm approaches. Now we have very good technology, and we're ahead of this game. So my suggestion is anybody from North Carolina, Virginia, from Norfolk south all the way to Myrtle Beach, you should be considering evacuation zones. And by evacuating, I would expect anyone north of Hatteras to go north, and everyone from Hatteras south to go south that way. Do not go towards where this storm is going to turn into a depression. Do not do that. It's not pretty. Oops. The next phase is the inland flooding, and that's going to be all up in here. And it's just tremendous flooding. It's very disheartening to tell you this, but do not focus on the wind and the surge of this storm if you live inland. Yes, if you have friends and family along the coast, they will need to start thinking about evacuation plans immediately. If it were up to me, I would post a hurricane watch tonight, but again, it's not up to me. It's up to the government. And then go with warnings tomorrow, because this is looking more likely than not of a historic landfalling hurricane with inland flooding that will be talked about for a very long time. That's it for this evening. I'll do another update probably tomorrow, and maybe a quick blast with the new model data overnight. Just stay safe, everyone. Be prepared, and be good.